to give our guys a taste of it. I tell you what is going on right now, sovereign citizens. That's one of our biggest things right now. If I don't know whether y'all know, sovereign citizens don't think they should do anything. And they've been killing police officers and highway patrolmen and sheriffs throughout the nation. But we try to keep them abreast as much, but not as much as we should. I mean, we just don't have the training facility. I mean, we have the facility, we just don't have the time to train them everything. That we give them enough of it, hopefully, to get by. It's sort of like speaking Spanish. We give them just enough so hopefully they'll understand enough not to get hurt.
You mentioned sovereign citizen threat. Could you expand on that a little bit?
Sovereign citizens are a group of people that don't think they have to pay taxes. The cars belong to them. They don't belong to anybody else. They make their own license plates. They make their own driver's license. They have clues on there. Sometimes they use their thumbprint in blood. Sometimes they use their thumbprint in different colors. It's just a whole litany of things that they do. And they just resist law enforcement. And we've had several people killed throughout the United States.
Could you give me any numbers and where that happened?
I'm not off the top of my head, but there's a training film that we look at. But let me tell you, I have them in my office on a regular basis. They come in and tell me right quick like that. They don't need to pay taxes. You know, don't tell your officers not to stop me. Tell your officers not to do this, not to do that.
Well, the reason I asked is that we have this gentleman mentioned about the idea of domestic terrorism. We have groups like the Southern Poverty Law Center that are working with the federal government, and they're saying things like, I've seen the white papers myself. Protest is a low-level form of terrorism. They're teaching certain federal agents that. They're teaching federal agents that if you have a bumper sticker that mentions the Constitution, you're a potential terrorist. If you have a pocket Constitution, you're a terrorist. Is that your opinion, sir?
No. And I can get you, matter of fact, I had staff meeting this afternoon because I had a thing this morning with the governor. And there's a group, I'm trying to think whether it's in Chapel Hill or not, but there's a class about sovereign citizens teaching law enforcement and judicial officials because it's getting that bad. But we've already started. We started about 2 years ago. And but there is a training film, and I can't remember. There's an agent. His son got killed, and he's the one started this training film because his son was a police officer and got killed. It was witnesses saw him get killed, but I can't remember what state he was in.
In Wake County, do you think the threat is greater by illegal aliens committing crimes or these so-called sovereign citizens? So I've never met a sovereign citizen.
Illegal aliens, by far, by far. They're the ones bringing most of our drugs in.
Why do you think so many people are getting concealed carry licenses?
Well, there's several reasons, and mostly because of what's going on in Washington. They think that people are going to take their guns, and then a lot of people say, I can't buy this down the road. I'm going to go ahead and buy it now, and it's just, if maybe some gun dealers in here, I had a convenience store once upon a time, and if we'd have a storm, and if the gas would jump up 15%, then I would be price gouging. But those guys have got away with everything. I mean, the ammo, look how many ammo's going up, guns going up. But there's several reasons. One, mostly is I want my gun now. I want to get it now in case they do something down the road. I don't think they're going to come take it. And usually that's the mentality of most people. If I have it, they're not going to take it. They may stop making it, and I can't get it, so I'm going to get it while I can.
But if you look at New York, that's coming true. They are taking and arresting people.
I don't know how long that's going to last.
Well, they've already arrested one person.
Yeah, but it's got to go through the court system.
I think you're seeing that people aren't trusting the court system anymore. It's a problem.
Careful now, you got a judge in here.
You made it clear, sir, and I appreciate that your Wake County Sheriff's Office would not enforce executive orders. Federal law enforcement would. What would you do in that case?
There's nothing I can do.
So you wouldn't interpose your authority?
Well, I'd say my piece, but when the federal judge tells me I got to step back, what do I got to do? Well, if you don't believe it, they'll pull in count for June, and then I won't have a whole lot to do. I'll be sitting over there with Dan somewhere or another.
So then theoretically, if there's an executive order that would make
if it's unconstitutional, they're not going to do it because we're not going to allow them to do it in this state. Me or any other state official or county official is not going to let them go by with that.
But if federal agents obeyed an executive order, for example, to confiscate guns, you said you would ignore it, but what would you do when federal agents then attempted to enforce it?
I don't know how to tell you. That's not going to happen.
you wouldn't interpose your authority.
Yes, we would. Yes, we would, but we can only do so much. But if it's not a constitutional law, that's not going to happen.
Well, but executive orders may not be constitutional.
But that's what I'm saying, that's why it's not going to happen, because it's going to wind up in state courts, going to wind up in all kinds of courts. Well, I don't know how to tell
Before it
you.
went to
Let's
court,
go on to
agents went to it.
Yeah,
When's
but
question?
yes, we would stand up, is what I'm trying to tell you.
You would interpose.
Yes, yes.
Okay. When?
Sheriff Harrison, and this sort of ties in with Rocco's question. Now, out west, I know that federal agencies, in the name of environmental regulations, are going onto people's private land and confiscating or causing them problems. And some sheriffs have had to go in there and take a stand. Now, I don't know how much we're experiencing that here. Have you experienced
Yeah.
environment? Well, it may be coming.
And you're right.
There won't be
And-
time to go up to the federal courts and wait for them to make a decision.
But that's what I say, we'll have to wait and see what happens before we can interfere. We just can't go out I refereed college basketball for a long time, and I taught college basketball referees. You can what if anything, but you got to have something to back it up. And I know, I'm not going to satisfy everybody in here, but I'm not going to stand up here and rah-rah to get your vote. I'm just not going to do it. I'm going to tell you what I feel is the truth. And if I'm wrong, I'll be the first one to come back and say, hey, I was wrong.
I guess what we're asking is, are you willing to look into those issues?
Yes.
To be prepared for this, that it could happen, even
Yes.
though it's not happening here?
Yes.
And what you would do about it if confronted
That's,
with that
that's why I have an attorney
situation.
that I talk to on a regular basis.
Well, I heard your attorney at Zebulon.
He was right.
Make a very disturbing statement.
But he was right.
I don't think so.
Yeah,
When he said that no right, no matter how fundamental it is, there's no right that is absolute. In our Constitution, which you say you adhere to, it specifically says that man is endowed, in our Declaration of Independence, that we're endowed with unalienable rights, meaning from God. So that doesn't mean that there's no right that's not absolute.
It's not, it is not absolute. If you talk, this gentleman right back here, if he talks to whoever he's been talking to, they'll tell you the same thing. I've talked to a lot of people in this county that's way up here, a lot smarter than I am. There is not an absolute right, especially when it comes to Second Amendment.
Well,
That is the, you can shake your head all you want to, but if it is, then I got to give guns to fellas and everybody else.